Fascinating, so many parts to these trade talks. But meanwhile, the Port of Los Angeles is humming along despite all the uncertainty that we have seen around the war in Iran and tariffs. In fact, cargo volume was up 17% last month compared to May of 2025. Many importers paused shipments last year after the White House was announcing these tariffs, and many of those have now been rolled back. Joining us now to discuss this and more is Jean Seroka, the executive director at the Port of Los Angeles. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Jean.
Great to see you, Kate.
Well, you must be happy. Imports up 17% at the Port of Los Angeles. What is driving all this cargo?
I'm pleased, but no, last year it was really a lousy month. We're coming off the announcement of tariffs on over 80 countries,
right,
and importers just slammed on the brakes. Tariffs from China went up to 145%. So we saw May volume drop precipitously. It started to pick up a little bit in the back end of June, and then July we broke all kinds of records. But I do feel good for a couple of reasons. One, the total volume that came through in the month of May is strong by comparison to our 5-year average. That stands a test of time. And two, with all this cargo coming in, it beats the pandemic era cargo flow, and not one container ship was backed up. The dock workers, terminal operators, and so many others are doing a great job.
The logistics we all like to take for granted, just having things running smoothly and happening during a time where there has been a ton of turmoil. Now, this week, President Trump and Iran leaders have signed this memorandum of understanding for this ceasefire to end the war in Iran, reopen the Strait of Hormuz. What sort of impact do you see at the Port of LA from this, or expect to see?
We've been doing pretty well since February 28th. We don't share services, vessels, or crews with that cargo that goes from Asia to the Middle East. Some were concerned that the ports we share, like Singapore, Shanghai, and others, would get backed up because of this lack of cargo flow. But the Asia port leadership did a great job overall during these past 3 months. Our cargo was moved unimpeded, and again, a strong U.S. consumer. Manufacturers still buying parts and components, and the great effort to keep that supply chain fluid has been the story.
But what about the rising cost of fuel? I'm sure that you've been impacted by that.
At its peak, the vessel fuel price doubled for these big ships that go in and out. And that translates also to cruise ships, which is such an important part of our business here in Los Angeles. And diesel prices were up 50%. 2/3 of our cargo that move in and out of the port move by truck.
Right. And we've seen those fuel prices already start to tick down, but it could be months to see if they ever get back to where they were at the beginning of the year. How long do you think it will see to really tell what the long-term impact of all this disruption was?
It'll be some time, Kate. In our business, if a port is closed for any reason, it usually takes about 3 days to catch up on all the inbound and outbound cargo and ships. We're now past 3 months on this war in Iran, and then overlay that with all the damage that's been done to energy facilities, pumping stations, even the fueling station at Dubai International Airport. We saw that some reports stated a few or a handful of container ships and oil tankers moved through the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, this was an area of navigation that saw 100 to 110 ships per day.
Wow.
This will take probably months going into the end of the year to at least get these supply chains back on some semblance of a normal schedule. But you also have to repair these facilities and get the oil and other refined products flowing again.
Well, you mentioned facilities. Let's talk about your facility. So LA Harbor Commission recently adopted a $3.4 billion budget for the Port of Los Angeles. This is the highest the budget has been in a decade. It includes some spending on capital improvement projects. So unpack this a little bit for us. What's in this budget?
When I first got here 12 years ago, our budget was a little more than $900 million.
Wow.
We've grown the top line, paid down debt, initiated very large capital improvement projects, and have now 11 consecutive years of positive cash flow to reinvest directly back in this port. These are road and rail connectors, terminal operations, a new cruise terminal in the outer harbor, and we're looking to build a new bridge along with the first ever container terminal in a greenfield project in 25 years.
Well, so what are you forecasting for this summer looking forward?
I think we'll do okay, but there's a lot that's unknown. Because of this shifting policy over the last 18 months with respect to trade and international relations, it's a really short window of anticipation. What's going to happen now with tariffs as they expire on July 24th leads to a whole host of other questions. Tariff refunds are just starting to trickle in. What does that mean for the economy? As far as I can see right now, the months of June and July look very strong, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, speaking of a hot summer at the port, we all have World Cup fever around here at Spectrum News. And I guess the Port of LA has it too, because you guys are official fan zone for FIFA. What is happening at the port for the World Cup? How can people get involved?
Oh, this has been an amazing period for Los Angeles. We've had more than 100 watch parties in the city. The LA Coliseum was filled starting last week. And in San Pedro, a FIFA fan zone that's going to be run by our West Harbor developer. This is the new retail, dining, and entertainment facilities right on the waterfront in the main channel. Jericho Development, the Johnson brothers, Alan and Eric, along with the Ratkovich family, have led the development here. We're going to have a host of friends and family down, and this is just the soft opening to what's going to be the biggest in entertainment in San Pedro in a long time.
So sell it, because there are so many of these fan zones popping up. I was looking today trying to navigate for my own family where we should go on what weekend, watch which game. So what can people see if they decide to go down to the port and watch the World Cup there?
Not only are you going to see the development of new retail, dining, and entertainment space, the groundbreaking on a 6,200 seat amphitheater, but you could sit there with friends and family and watch this industrial theater of the nation's largest port right before your eyes. Everyone's welcome.
Very cool. Gene Seroka, Executive Director of the Port of Los Angeles. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on all the good news at the port. We love to hear it.
Great to see you, Kate.